In his latest attempt to align himself with like-minded offenders and powerful chauvinistic elites, in order to save his own behind, Russell Brand kicks off a national tour with Tucker Carlson. Brand, who converted to Christianity shortly after being accused of sexual assault by 4 women, how convenient, in May 2024, is trying to win his cases in the court of public opinion by turning to Christ. And should that attempt fail, he's also seeking protection by rich and powerful white Christian nationalists. Carlson calls Brand the person he most admires, while they pray for unity together all around the country. Guys, this all sounds really crazy to me, but I think there is actually a clear motive behind all this. And this story does come from the Daily Mail by Martin Robinson on September 6th, 2024. Weird stuff happening here. Weird stuff, but not so weird. Don't we often see people invoke religion to save their own ass? In fact, don't we often see religious people's asses getting saved because they invoke their religion? How many pastors and clergy have been moved around and protected when they got found guilty of abuse or some other crime? But more importantly, I want to talk about this relationship with Tucker Carlson, that is, and Russell Brand. Kelly, are you surprised to hear about this relationship between these two?
In a way, I am, sort of, because of Russell Brand's, who he was in the past. He doesn't kind of seem like the guy that Tucker Carlson would hang out with, but his recent turnaround, his coming to Christ, it doesn't surprise me now that Carlson is jumping on his bandwagon so that he can elevate him up, put him on a pedestal, and look at this guy. He was on drugs. He treated women badly, and now he's come to Christ. What a great person he is. So yeah, I could see why the relationship is happening. It does surprise me in a way, but it surprised me when Brand came out and became a Christian too, apparently to save his butt from the allegations against him. So I
would say so.
Yeah, that's what I think so too. So
yeah, Jonathan, on that note, we know now that Brand he's given himself over to Christ, right? And now perhaps even white Christian nationalists. But is Brand giving anything up by turning himself over to these folks?
Yeah, as much as I think it's pretty disingenuous conversion, and that Tucker Carlson isn't religious at all. This is just way for him to get the spotlight as well. So it's all political for him, and he's proven that in the past. But I could say this tale. I was going to say this tale breaks my heart, but I don't even have a heart facsimile for this creep. So, I'm going to have to just say he's a dirtbag. But the thing he's giving up, the cost of tuition for Christ University is quite high. You have to give all your self-respect and self-esteem over to this invisible deity, and all your willpower, because God's responsible for everything. So you don't have to be responsible for anything. But that, to me, is being an over-controlling military type. I take responsibility and I thrive on that. So to me, that's a negative. It's devotion to a mythology instead of reality. Not getting credit for your own work. And this bugs me in public too, where people say, thank God for this, or God has blessed me for that. No, he hasn't. Have you thought about what that means? You saying, giving all the credit to him for stuff you did, or somebody else did for you? The EMS people had no business trying to save you when you got coronary arrest in the grocery store. They should have just let you die because God had it under control.
Well, to that point, I don't think that Brand wants credit for the work he's done, because the work he's done has involved sexual assault, right? So why not give everything up to God and let God take over? And to both your points, I think you have both alluded to the fact that these two guys are symbiotic parasites. I mean, they're feeding off of each other, right? Brand turns around and says, and I genuinely believe this. Like, if you look at the way, and because we are a 501c3 nonprofit, I am not going to delve into political candidates or elected officials. But if you look at the way that some people are, I don't know, above the law lately, then you might see how Brand might want to latch on to them, right? And it's not a surprise to me that Tucker Carlson is kind of latching on to Brand. First, yeah, to your point, Kelly, he could say, look, I got this liberal guy, and this liberal guy might even be influential to some other liberal people and help give Carlson some credibility. But look at where these two come from. We got one guy facing 4 different sexual assault cases, and then we've got Carlson, who is embroiled in sexual discrimination and sexual assault cases, at least accusations of them, over when he was at Fox News. In fact, he is known for being behind the or the culprit, the main culprit for Fox having to settle a $787 million dispute for spreading false information. And what is religion but false information? I think these guys make a perfect couple.
How would you like to be a woman on that tour?
I think that would be worse than the bear and the man in the woods anecdote, right? Tucker Carlson, that whole culture over at Fox has been horrible to women, as has religion, which is why it's never been a surprise to me why they're so intertwined. But Kelly, enough of me ranting about how gross and disgusting these people are. Let's get down to Brand. Is his acting career over?
That's interesting because I had actually thought about that, and I don't know. I can't say, but it does seem that when actors hitch their wagon to the far right, it doesn't work out so well for them. And we've seen that historically with Stephen Baldwin, Scott Baio, Roseanne Barr, James Wood, right?
Kevin Sorbo.
Actually, is it just me, or did the first 3, all 3 of their names began with a B? Baio, Baldwin, and Barr. Is there something to that or not? I'm not sure. But all 4 of their political careers kind of trash. Vince Vaughn has come out and said that his conservative views have kept him from getting jobs too in Hollywood. I don't know if that's true, but I can say that all the people I'm talking about have not been in a major production in a long time.
Yeah.
Yep. Kevin Sorbo came out and said, that it's his religion, religiosity that has kept him out of movies and things like that. And I keep thinking to myself, it's probably because he goes online and trolls people continuously.
Yeah,
so,
right. Yeah, I remember seeing Sorbo on Twitter before it became X, and I'm like, what the hell happened to Hercules? Like, I didn't know that this guy was out of his mind, and I have to ask myself, are these people leaning toward the conservative right because they've been exposed? I mean, I think that their career tanks, then they go that way usually. I mean, Roseanne Barr, she screwed up. I mean, she let her racism slip, right? And it's like, well, might as well join the party now. I have nothing to hide anymore. I think Brand is looking for a new tribe because the old tribe's not going to help him. And we don't really know much about this, though, do we? I mean, Jonathan, what do we know about the sect of Christianity that Brand might be gravitating towards, if any?
Well, it's interesting because he said that after he was baptized, he said that he was going to look into go check out Catholic, Anglican, and Orthodox churches, and talked about fortune telling with tarot cards. Not a good look. Not a good look if you want to be a Catholic or an Orthodox or an Anglican. But, it's like he doesn't really have a direction, I don't think.
Honestly, I don't think any Christian sect frowns upon. I think they all frown upon tarot cards, John.
Well, yeah, unless you're a UU. Okay, anyway. I had to throw that in.
Yeah.
But it's just, I would think he could do better than that. And I have a hard time believing he was a devout practicing Buddhist before that, and meditated a lot. If he has shifted this far right, then I don't know. Well, maybe Theravada. There are Buddhist sects that are extremely insular that there might be. But so I don't know much about him, myself. I've never listened to any of his comedy or any of his shows or anything like that. So, I just noticed that I do recognize his face when I saw him in the articles that I looked at. But but then I don't think he is sincere about much other than, and I seriously wonder if he's actually clean, if he's actually stopped doing the drugs and stopped womanizing. If he's hanging out with Tucker Carlson, he's going to be exposed to that sort of stuff anyway. So it's probably not a good thing for him. And I wish he'd get some serious help and just take responsibility for his actions. That's all. And get it over with, and then get on with a life that's a little bit more healthy for him.
Yeah. So I think you pretty much nailed it there. We don't know anything about Brand. We don't know anything about this new movement that he's on. And I think, Kelly, this shows a guy who has no fucking idea what he's talking about. I mean, when it comes, yeah,
he doesn't.
And I'd like to get your thoughts on that. I mean, I know that you have some knowledge or a lot of knowledge on the Eastern religions, Buddhism especially, right? So how does he go from being this Buddhist to being a guy who's like, well, I've been baptized, now I'll go check out all the Christian sects?
I'm not so sure that he was a devout Buddhist, as John mentioned. I think he was more like the Western secular version of Buddhism, this kind of weird thing that we've created here in the United States and in Great Britain. And it's just like the Taoism that we've created. It's nothing like the original Buddhism. It's nothing like the original Taoism. It was kind of gotten a hold of by New Age people and bent to their own philosophy and way of thinking. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, Brand has always been involved in that whole New Age way of thinking. So I don't know that he's actually a real Buddhist.
Okay, no true Scotsman here.
As the case may be. But I think he's more like the type of Buddhist that we see more and more in the Western part of the world than the ones that are actually practicing traditional Buddhism. So.
Yeah, and valid point, because I think that he's doing the same exact thing to Christianity.
Yes.
I think he has no idea what he's talking about, and I think he is going to just make his own and do what he wants kind of version of Christianity that suits his needs. Go ahead.
I'm about to say, I think he was doing that whole New Age thing because it's popular. It got him popular by being a part of it, and then the sexual abuse allegations came up. But that whole New Age philosophy, that's not going to help him with that. So he had to do something to protect himself, and he went and got himself baptized. I'm a good Christian now. I'm forgiven, I believe he's using it just to become popular and be forgiven, just like he used the Buddhism and the New Age stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when I look at this, I see somebody who says, "Well, I'll go check out Eastern Orthodox, and I'll go check out Christianity or Catholicism." Very, very different styles, right? I mean, they broke off from one another when Rome broke in two, and that's how they were kind of able to develop separately. They're not connected. And then, moving west, and later in time, you have the development of the Anglican Church that was a rejection of Catholicism. So to lump them together, I think just goes to show the theatrics of all this, right? But also, he doesn't limit himself either. These mega churches that we see, these religious zealots with these massive fortunes are non-denominational almost all the time, right? So for him to say, well, I'm going to be a Catholic, Jonathan, what do you think some of the implications would be if he were to pick a religion rather than keep everybody kind of, lingering for more information?
I would say that, well, first point is I do know of a couple of ashrams and Buddhist facilities in California that are very traditional as far as the Eastern ways. Their monks have been trained in, Myanmar and Thailand and Vietnam by, some of the most prestigious people. Thich Nhat Hanh comes to mind, that sort of thing. So there are a couple of little bastions of actual Buddhism in the country. However, most of them are just New Age, which rhymes with sewage.
Yeah. You better be careful. I think Kelly coined that one.
Yeah, I'm going to get everybody saying that eventually.
But yeah, I think he's if he finally labels himself, and I don't expect him to do that too soon. I think what he'll do is, I don't think it will be one of those three. Those are just the three he mentioned. I think it will probably be something that is relatively unknown, so that he doesn't have to stand on any of their principles necessarily. That he can kind of like you said, mold it to what he wants it to be. And it's still a name that actually people know, but it's not something he's actually going to on Sunday. You know, he's kind of using it as a title or a name to keep people from asking him too many questions about it. So, you know.
Yeah, and I think he and Carlson, two guys going through similar problems who have been essentially blackballed for extreme behavior, sexually just disgusting behavior.
Yeah, pretty disgusting guys.
Are latching onto each other and trying to feed off of each other's kind of, I don't know if you could call it, well, I guess support. I almost said talent pool. I don't know why I would have said that, but there's no talent there.
There's no talent there.
Yeah. Which honestly is why it's not such a great loss to lose Brand. Like you guys said, Russell Brand, nobody's hiring him now, but what are we really missing? There's really no gap to fill, is there? No. Which is why it's so easy for him to get scooped up by somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, Tucker Carlson's little roadshow there is going to pay him something, but he's going to need a lot more than that for lawyers' fees alone. So
yeah,
we'll see.
That's why they're charging $100 a head for people to get into these things. Imagine that.
There's a lot of people who will.
There's another grift happening right in front of us. So
that's it.
Yeah, I think this is really gross. Go ahead.
I don't know if this means anything, but the one movie that we really know Russell Brand from, Get Him to the Greek.
Yeah,
right?
That was a pretty funny movie. I'm going to be
honest. That was a good movie, right?
Yeah.
But P. Diddy was in that movie too. I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah. Man, I hope Jonah Hill was in that. I hope this guy stays in the clear. You know.
I hope Jonah's okay.
I want Kelly to now do the 6 ways from 6 ways from what was the name? I just dropped it. I was going to say it. Kevin Bacon. I want you to connect Russell Brand to Kevin Bacon.
Well, I hope Russell Brand doesn't bring Kevin Bacon down with him, because I hear Kevin Bacon's actually a really great guy.
He is. Yeah.
But I think something that we all talked about before we started this segment was we didn't want to give them a platform. We actually didn't really want to talk about this topic, did we?
No.
So I think I want to get your thoughts on that, and then we can close out another great week of recording. So Jonathan, what is it? What is it about this? I mean, that you can't talk about?
I think Kelly said it best to me, and that is that we shouldn't be giving platforms to people to increase their people's awareness of them as even being relevant to the current situation. Keep them under their rock, and if this particular show gives any kind of impetus to ignoring this man, and Tucker Carlson too, then I'm for that. But if it's just giving him a platform to have other people talk about him and start the rumor mills, I don't want to be a part of that necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think we should be giving a platform to two people who are sexual predators, because they have both shown us that they have been, at least in the past, and or at least are being told. We are being told they have been in the past by others. And in Carlson's case, there's a bit of classism and racism as well. So I don't think we need to be giving these two men platforms for anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think while I don't want to talk about them, somebody has to stand up and say, look, this is bullshit. The religion is bullshit. And they're using it to lie to you, to trick you, and to save their own asses. And that is exactly what is happening.
And to make money off of you.
And they're taking money from you. Correct. So somebody's got to stand up and do that. And I'm happy to be the one to do it. So let's
Stand up.
Yeah, yeah. Show everybody that lovely wardrobe.
Oh, yeah, there you
Man,
go. I was
nobody's.
just standing up to do it, but
You're the best dressed guy at the atheist community of Austin. I'll tell you what. But yeah, another great week of recordings. You guys, I've had a great time with you, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. And
Thank you.
folks. We've got other shows. So check out tomorrow, Talk Heathen at 1 p.m. Central, and The Atheist Experience at 4:30 Central. We're going to have we're going to take some calls and get down to the bottom of what people believe and why. But you can also click below to watch some more Nonprofits content. Take care, and thanks for tuning in.